Hello and good afternoon to Journeys of Restoration. I'm your host, Jacinta Canary, and here I talk about forgiveness, my journey as a woman of faith, my mental health, and all things wellness and well-being. Today I'm talking following on the topic of mental health and a compassionate approach. And today I want to talk about what renewing your mind looks like and what we can do to to change our mindset and also to be strong when there's influences from the world and to know that to follow what God wants us to do. And ultimately we want to live a life that is pleasing to God. We show up as people with good character, people with integrity, people with values, and people that God can trust. Because if God can't trust us to show up the way He expects us to, then we cannot be good stewards, we cannot be good people as good humans, and we can't be depended upon as people of faith. So let's delve into the reading. Today I'm taking the reading from Romans 12, verse 2, and it's about renewing your mind. I have got a Freedom Bible, which is one of my study Bibles, so not the New Living Translation today. So I'm reading from Romans 12, verse 2, and it says, "Do not be shaped by this world. Instead, be changed within by a new way of thinking. Then you will be able to decide what God wants for you. You will know what is good and pleasing to Him and what is perfect." And what does that look like? You want to ask, what does a person look like who is doing what is right and pleasing and what God wants you to do? So it's easy to be persuaded by the world. Friends, even family can sometimes tell us, you know what, it's okay sometimes to tell lies. It's okay sometimes to do things that no one else would know. We can just share. But ultimately, we should always do what's right and pleasing, what God expects from us. So, what does that look like? What is a person who is a God fearing person, a person of faith? How do we show up? We show up with integrity. And what does that look like? Integrity is you doing the right thing, even when nobody's watching and there's nobody around to tell you, hey, you are not doing the right thing. So, being a person of integrity is you always do what is the right thing to do, the honorable thing, and what's expected of you. What else would you ask? And this is just my guidelines, the way I would like to show up in the world. And if I get it wrong, I get it wrong and I take it to God. What else would you say? Somebody who's honest. Honesty is so important because if you're honest, then you are a person who is trustworthy. You always tell the truth. I always say to my children, you always have to tell the truth, even if you're going to get in trouble, because we should always show up with honesty. Respect. What does the person look like that comes with respect? Somebody who shows mutual respect is someone who listens to you, doesn't interject, doesn't try and persuade you to think in their way of thinking. They're respectful of how other people would think and show up, and also try to be that respectful person too. Even if you can't understand what someone else is doing, try and just listen to understand, not listen to defend or listen to become defensive, or just because you want to get your own view across and you just come across as downright rudeness. That is not good at all. So we renew our mind. So within the mental health, we talked about breathing, we talked about being compassionate with yourself, and now we're talking about renewing your mind and listening to what God says, knowing what is right and pleasing for Him. So renew your mind, always fill your mind with what's good, what is new, and what's going to elevate you. So for myself, if I'm having a difficult day, which I have been over the last month as I spoke to you, I would just read verses that inspire me. And then I would write them out, and then I would pray, and then I would sit with God and trust what He's trying to say to me. And sometimes it's difficult not to pray when you're anxious. I understand that. And if you're not able to concentrate, I would just listen to a worship song, listen to the same verse, or read the same verse over again, or write it out, or even write the word, and just sit with God and trying to close my eyes and sit within that quiet space, like we did with the breathing last week. And try to renew your mind with something new. There's so many different lessons in the Bible, but continue to build on your bag of skills of coping with your mental health, doing the breathing exercises, renewing your mind, and not thinking of anxious thoughts, but looking at positive thoughts. We can fill an anxious thought. Like, for example, I don't feel so good today, something bad's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen today, but I know that God is in control and I can trust Him. So keep switching the negatives to a positive. So renew your mind constantly and focus on that positive mindset and building and strengthening that mindset. And I hope this was useful to you today. And I will look forward to seeing you next time. Stay blessed and beautiful.